What is a recession and how does it impact people and businesses? Well, when a country's economy is growing, people tend to spend more. And you may also see many businesses expanding as the gross domestic product, aka the GDP, increases. But sometimes a country will experience a period of economic downturn where the GDP decreases. And if this happens for consecutive periods, the economic climate is viewed as being negative and the country will experience a recession. Now, the length of a recession varies. Some recessions can last for just weeks, some will last for months, and some will last for years. Essentially, there is no limit on how long a recession can last for. And if a recession carries on for a significant period of time, it progresses into something that's known as a depression. But even the shortest periods of recession will have effects that are felt for a long time after it's over. You might now be thinking, what impact does a recession actually have? Well, a few common indicators that a country is in recession include high levels of unemployment and job losses, a slowdown in manufacturing and a lack of business expansion, alongside a decline in people's real level of income and consumer spending. But recessions are nothing new, and the UK itself has been involved in a number of recessions in the past. For example, the UK entered a recession during the height of the coronavirus pandemic in August 2020. This was after the UK economy suffered significantly, and the GDP fell by a staggering 20.4%. There were many factors that caused this recession and influenced the GDP to fall so significantly, such as the multiple lockdowns that were put in place, which resulted in shops and hospitality venues being shut physically to the general public, and many businesses being forced to close for good as they were unable to recover or survive the effects of these unusual trading conditions, where many people were also furloughed or even lost their jobs completely, and consumer confidence was at an all-time low. But there are many factors that influence a recession, too many to go through in just this short video. But as I said earlier, recessions aren't a new thing, and the UK has experienced lots of recessions in the past. Before the coronavirus pandemic, 2009 was the last time that the UK experienced a recession, when GDP fell by 7.2%. But we've also experienced recessions in 1990, 1980, a double dip recession in 1975 and 1973, then again in 1961 and 1956. So that just goes to show how recessions are part of the economic cycle, and they do happen quite often over time. Now that we know some of the factors that cause recessions to happen, and we've seen some examples of when the UK experienced recessions before, let's take a look at what impact recessions have on people and on businesses. First of all, the impact of recessions are often not felt equally across society, and inequality can often increase as a result, with people on lower incomes typically feeling the pinch more or experiencing more severe consequences. But in general, recessions impact people because some will lose their jobs, opportunities for a promotion and climbing the career ladder are often limited, and experiencing a pay rise which is significant enough to keep up with the rising cost of living is highly doubtful, which means the average person is left out of pocket and consumer confidence goes down. Also, benefit payments and investment into public services are often restricted. In relation to businesses, no business is recession proof, no matter how big or small they are. While some businesses might actually grow during a recession, the majority of businesses are likely to experience at least some negative consequences of trading during a recession. For example, they might experience a reduction in footfall and revenue as consumers are spending less, which leads to a decrease in profitability and periods of negative cash flow. Then, because of this, shareholders can become dissatisfied, which is typically caused because the performance of a company goes down, and therefore the value of their holding and the amount of profit they receive in the form of dividends goes down. This can then have a knock-on effect and lead to a decrease in quality standards and the overall customer experience. The decrease in quality standards and the overall customer experience is often due to the business trying to protect its bottom line by cutting costs in key areas such as the raw materials they purchase, the production processes that they use, and the workforce. But in general, it tends to be the smaller businesses that lack the financial clout to survive a recession, whereas bigger businesses can often cut back on additional costs such as marketing, product development, and recruitment, allowing them to protect the bottom line and ultimately survive.